One company that has been present for nearly half of NASCAR's entire existence sponsored their last race car on Sunday. The Mars Company leaves behind a legacy of not only wins and championships with driver Kyle Busch. Whether it was through M&M's, Snickers, Skittles, Doublemint, Extra, Combos, Twix, Starburst, and Pedigree. Okay, maybe not so much Pedigree because of how cursed those colors were. The Mars Company always stood out from a pack of 43 cars before it became 40 in 2016 and before the charter system made it harder and harder for individual teams to become competitive, so now we're at 36. Still, the Mars family was willing to invest millions into a polarizing driver that might turn around and hurt their brand with his antics, his unpredictable shenanigans, sacrificing a clean, family-friendly image just for the glories to win and be well represented in the NASCAR Cup Series. Kyle Busch gave M&M's a winning portfolio for 15 years. In every season, besides 2022 arguably, where his only win came at Bristol Dirt, Chase Briscoe had descended in there, take out Tyler Reddick. Kyle Busch lucked into a win, took that one.
Same guy that backs into every win.
But a win's a win, right? Even in that lame duck year. And Joe Gibbs Racing, in most seasons, they gave him a car that was championship caliber every single year. Winning many races and 2 NASCAR Cup Series championships, an accomplishment that is hard to achieve since we have now the winning you're in format and that final race can be unpredictable as hell. He did all that with the fan favorite candy pieces on the hood and on the sides decked all over the car. Guys, I can spend this entire video regurgitating why M&M's is going to be missed, but we have to look at the bigger picture. Why are we even at this point where NASCAR has to part ways with their long-term team sponsor and official chocolate of the motorsport? NRF Productions proudly presents Video 1 of the Full Tank postseason, how M&M's leaving exposes NASCAR's demographics. The Mars Company is going through a typical transition phase within their company. When new people and new ideas they enter a company, they can tend to revise or completely scrap old ways of thinking, old marketing strategies to try things completely out of the company's shell to achieve their goals. Achieve the all-important goal of getting customers to buy their stuff consistently, and make a profit as a company. M&M's redid their marketing plan completely at the beginning of 2022 with one critical theme: to show that M&M's is a company tolerant to inclusivity and belonging. The first thing they did was redesign their candy characters to make them, in their words, more reflective of today's society. Namely the green M&M, which was redesigned to fit a confident archetype by giving her a new set of sneakers?
What are those?
Her design got a lot of negative reactions because, to put it bluntly, we are all in love with the green M&M. She's a 10, but she'll melt if she stays outside too long. It's why the rock band Van Halen reportedly demanded that green M&Ms be provided at every one of their concerts. It's why she was voted as America's favorite M&M's character in 2010, and why Kyle Busch ran a paint scheme with only green M&Ms on it at the 2010 Watkins Glen race. The green M&M was a cultural icon, and many argued that her new design was a part of the woke agenda now that the green M&M's go-go boots didn't provoke that same adrenaline rush. Others, mainly a Rolling Stone subculture writer, believe that, with these go-go boots, the green M&M was a girl boss, feminist icon that had suddenly betrayed her fanbase. In the 2020s, now we're at an era where the heroes of M&M's are the new purple character that wants to be me, carrying a various amount of theories around her character, as well as the orange M&M, that one that was just always scared, but now he's open. He's open to embrace his character trait of being anxious. If you guys are saying that I just wasted a good minute of your time over analyzing a bunch of chocolate covered candy pieces, well, yes, you are correct. Let's get to some more serious subject material on this topic. Next February, M&M's is going to release some new flavors, Twix and Milky Way cookie dough, as well as M&M's cold brew. To you, that isn't a surprise. A food and snack brand is of course going to release as many different variants and flavors of its products as possible. I mean, just look at M&M's and their flavors. Many would argue that it's the peanut M&M's or the peanut butter M&M's that are more of that dopamine hit, more of a stimulation than the dull, boring milk chocolate M&M's that are just kind of basic. Now, NASCAR, of course, was the launching pad for various new M&M's flavors, like the revival of Crispy in 2015, Caramel in 2017, Hazelnut Spread in 2019, the irresistible Fudge Brownie in 2020, and this season with the Crunchy Cookie. But more than ever, M&M's as a company has a goal to make changes. They have a bottom line to do things different, to shake up what they've traditionally done to get new customers, try out new things to become more brand appealing to Generation Z. That is why you're seeing the company introduce cold brew M&Ms. Iced beverages accounted for 75% of Starbucks drink sales from April to June of this year, thanks to the purchasing power of Gen Z. Now, was that all because of the power of memes? That is yet to be seen. That and the controversial character redesigns that caused outrage. It's one of the biggest issues in America today. Those are two of the ways that the Mars company is trying to get Gen Z to crave its sugary treats. Mars, like NASCAR, recognizes that these are the consumers of the future. Gen Z is an incredible important generation as they gain buying power. We're trying to look at generational trends to make sure we're staying relevant with them and bringing in new users while also satisfying existing users. M&M's is a powerful brand, but it's important to keep consumers engaged and coming back. And I wholeheartedly expect now that they have 10-20 million off the books from their NASCAR sponsorship, they're going to direct that money to an even bigger presence on social media sites. Guys, these platforms right here, they have millions and millions and millions of users from the demographic they're chasing hard. But if there is a main rebuttal, even before all these changes that M&M's has been doing, they have still been a product consumed by the masses of young folk. We just have to look at some of the data that's been released. I look at the Morning Consult as they put out an interesting study a few months ago about the brands most favored by Generation Z. This right here is a cohort group that has a unique set of experiences and values, i.e. growing up in the Great Recession of 2008 and going through early adulthood during the 2020 COVID pandemic. Compared to the average adult and millennials, Gen Z is a harsher, more demanding critic of corporations. Potentially that's because now you have an abundance of options when it comes to shopping. You can now purchase things that align more to your brand, things that are more aligned to your values. Amongst all brands, Gen Z's average is just 27%. M&M's, meanwhile, they didn't just make the list of the most popular brands to Gen Z, only trailing beloved brands such as YouTube, Google, Netflix, maybe not so much Netflix considering they do have some controversy, and Amazon. Their favorability rating among Gen Z is 79.8%. In a generation that tends to have a more pessimistic viewpoint on corporations, 3 out of 4 people that are 18 to 25 love M&M's. Okay, so Generation Z, they already have a sweet tooth for M&M's. So what really is that true reason as to why M&M's, they are dumping NASCAR, they are dumping Kyle Busch, allocating their millions of dollars they spent on the NASCAR program elsewhere? As children, let's be honest, we don't really know any better in this world. Nothing seems familiar to us, so to cope with our reality, we tend to gravitate towards things that are a source of comfort to us. M&M's has historically been a source of comfort for young children, whether that's on Halloween. A child decides to rip open a bag of M&M's. They are dazzled by all the red, green, and blue M&M's that they see, or the humorous mascots that are represented in commercials spanning from movies, TV shows, and obviously NASCAR for many decades. This has been the M&M's way to get new consumers of the melt-in-your-mouth, colorful coated candy pieces. Now you can debate all you want the morality of the Mars company marketing to young kids. You don't really realize at 5 the health risks of eating sugary processed snacks like M&M's. With weak parenting, you can become like the numerous children today that are obese in this country because you welcome the fun, comforting nature of M&M's into your life as a consistent habit. In a way, M&M's leaving NASCAR is a good thing in that sense. M&M's as a company, they tend to make a profit depending on young children to come in clutch, nag their parents at the Walmart checkout to buy them that bag of M&M's. That is their thinking in 2022. That was also their thinking in 1997. Mars M&M spokeswoman at the time, Pat D'Amato, considered this candy to be a universal product with a demographic of children aged 12 to 14. M&M's has always been thought of as a kid product. Now I can certainly attest to this as the proud owner of an Elliott Sadler hauler and ornament repping his 2004 M&M's paint scheme with Robert Yates Racing, and once a 6-year-old that willingly went out in public with no shame wearing a David Gilliland hat. All because, as a young little boy, the colorful M&M's characters were something I was familiar and comfortable with. Mars saw NASCAR not just as a heavily watched motorsport that could get more kids to consume bags of M&M's, capitalizing on those young children sitting in front of the television on a NASCAR Sunday watching Kyle Busch in that bright M&M's car steal a victory, then turning to mom and dad saying, "I want some M&M's now." But also, M&M's provided a distinctly unique merchandising opportunity. The 90s and 2000s saw NASCAR merchandise and licensing deals explode. Fans wanted to buy t-shirts, die-cast hats, lunchboxes, and even crockpots, I kid you not, with their favorite driver's name and colors on it. Okay, yeah, for most of their tenure, Mars struggled to have a consistently winning driver and team. They sat there and floundered around, going to MB2 Motorsports, to Robert Yates Racing, and then Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch, where they found their success. Still, their sponsorship, even when Elliott Sadler was running 33rd at Chicagoland, still thrived because of the brand appeal. Children like myself were willing to beg my parents in Daytona, USA to buy a hat of a sub-20th place driver like David Gilliland, all because it had all those little cartoon M&M's candy pieces working on the car. It was kind of a unique hat. That's too bad I don't have it anymore, because that was one of the most unique NASCAR hats I've ever owned in my life. Obviously today, guys, the NASCAR merchandising industry has crumbled like an M&M's sugar cookie for various reasons. You don't go to Lowe's anymore during Christmas time to buy that Kyle Busch ornament from the recent season. For the merchandise that does exist, the quality has deteriorated in a massive way. The M&M's car in the newest NASCAR video game glitches up. The M&M's diecast in the NASCAR Authentics line has paint chips and grainy decals galore. All going back to the damning fact that I've tried to beat inside your guys' head, something that needs to be talked about, regurgitated over and over, almost cult-like, and that is the fact that less and less young people watch NASCAR than ever before. For the Xfinity 500 elimination race at the Martinsville Speedway, NBC had 2.5 million viewers tune in. Just 477,000 of those fans were from the critical 18 to 49 demographic. Even worse were the results from the championship, as you had the MLS championship on Saturday draw more 18 to 49 viewers than the NASCAR championship on Sunday. Insane to think. I hate to say it, guys, but it looks like Brian Cornell and Target were right all along. I do not exaggerate when I say this, guys. The average NASCAR fan has a fond memory of where they were on 9/11. Now, does that mean it's bad to have a bunch of boomer fans? No, not at all, because in many ways, the boomer generation as a cohort group, they have been loyal to NASCAR. They have been the backbone that has built the motorsport up from a southern novelty to the cross-country multi-billion-dollar industry it is today. Plus, honestly, I'd be a hypocrite to diss the boomers. Both of my parents are boomers. They introduced me to a lot of experiences in NASCAR. So the boomer generation, they deserve a lot of credit. But the main problem is when you have an entire fan base that is predominantly people over 50 plus. Sure, the boomer generation, they are a good generation to have as NASCAR fans, because the boomer generation, they have the money, they have been in the workforce for many years and have built up their wealth. Because of that, they can introduce their children and grandchildren to the NASCAR experience. Still, there is a large majority of the American population that they are raising children right now, but they do not have NASCAR on the television. Unless you have those parents that decide to go out every single weekend, decide to party, do some other fun things, leave their kids with the grandparents for the weekend, and they have NASCAR on. Outside of that, guys, you have a generation of children growing up knowing NASCAR only as a redneck Talladega Nights stereotype, instead of, obviously, the positives, which is NASCAR being a positive institution that has created so many memories for these young children, such as, the novelty of meeting their favorite driver in the pits. Maybe for some, it gets them interested in go-kart racing and can land them a career in the NASCAR Cup Series garage in the future. I hate to be that guy, but most boomers are going to be dead in 15 to 20 years. We all die at some point. And as those devoted fans, loyal fans, die off, NASCAR is going to be in serious trouble. NASCAR has struck out with Gen X. NASCAR has struck out with millennials. So with that track record of not getting younger fans, what leads a multi-billion-dollar corporation to believe that this generation is going to be different? M&M's is continuing their longtime tradition of appealing to the younger demographic, just in a new and unique way. No longer will it be spending millions on a NASCAR team that glues kids to their merchandise and to their product. Those millions instead will be spent on areas that actually have the demographics they want. ideas, and spaces that have a large following of people 18 to 49. That demographic that can get more people to either favor the brand positively and or pass down to their children. Getting drawn to the slapstick of the goofy talking candy pieces that are entertaining get people to consume those irresistible products. NASCAR, with most of their fans a few years away from an AARP subscription, they are not demographically attractive to Fortune 500 companies, M&M's being the latest example of NASCAR's demographic crisis. So anyways, this is Nathan for NRF Productions signing out. And just remember, guys and gals, life's a beach and then you drive.